Ready to go.
All right. I'm Keith Landry. I cut up baseball cards and make realistic players out of them. I've done other pieces as well. Just from my artistic background, I've been drawing ever since I can remember. And I remember being very young when I would draw people and faces, and I would see other kids drawing things, and I consider them to be scribbles, and it just didn't make sense to me. How do you not know that's not what a person looks like? But I was always very interested in drawing faces and people and bodies, and very interested in, what causes that line to occur on that arm, what causes that contour on that face. And I've always been that way. And then I'm a baseball player, and I kind of have a problematic love for the game of baseball and Boston Red Sox in particular. And for years and years and years, I'd drawn, and I used, had primarily used either just graphite pencils, the varying darknesses, and then some Caran d'Ache hard watercolor pencils. And one unfortunate aspect to my personality is that as I start to get good at something, I start to become a perfectionist. And I was finding with that kind of art that I was doing, it was very anxiety ridden. So the previous piece that I made, the final piece that I actually drew using these watercolor pencils, was a drawing of Pedro Martinez. And I focused in on every single aspect of the drawing as though it was the only thing in the drawing. So his glove took me 15 hours, his hair took me 4. The numbers on the back of his jersey were, 12, 15 hours a piece. And it took me, over COVID as well too, about 3 years to finish this thing, and it's only about 14 by 22. So there are literally dozens, if not hundreds of hours into this, and it was extremely stressful. And once it was done, I said, I have to find a different way to do art. And I happened to go to the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown in February of 24 and saw someone had made a baseball card cutout uniform jersey of Phil Niekro. And I said to myself, I think I can do that. And I went home and made a rough little Tom Seaver one, and it came out okay. But then I started making faces and bodies and jerseys and uniforms. And I came to realize just how forgiving the medium is, because it isn't like drawing where if you make a stray line, something's wrong and you can't undo it. You put a bad cut out piece of baseball card down, you just glue another piece right over on top of it. In fact, a number of these faces and these people are very, very many layers deep if you get up close to take a look at them. But this is what I've been doing for about the past little bit over 2 years now. And I've been fortunate enough to enjoy my art again, and that's what's been the most pleasurable about all of this. So, after having progressed into art becoming actually almost painful, and as you all know, all the artists in the room here, like when someone asks you why do you do art, it's like asking someone why do you breathe. It has to be done, and I found a medium that allows me to do it without suffering, and it's very enjoyable. And I spend hours and hours and hours just cutting these up. It's literally one pair of scissors and a baseball card collection over a lifetime. All of these baseball cards that are cut up are entirely worthless. They're worth like a penny a piece or a nickel a piece. And this is the end result. So that's what I do.
So do you work from your imagination?
No. These are all either photographs or old baseball cards or magazine covers. I forget the name of the photographer. A photographer actually won an award with this one, and I actually have him footnoted when I refer to this piece on my website. But the selection process, obviously, is you're trying to find something that will be exciting and interesting, but also something feasible, and that sometimes is the biggest challenge in picking the pieces. But no, I do not do them from my imagination.
The other day you were talking about something about shadows or the cloth or something. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the interesting thing that I find about drawing, and I'm terrible with three-dimensional like figures and clay and stuff like that. When you go after a jersey or a uniform, all you've got is light and dark in order to make contour. That's all you've got. Obviously there's color involved in some cases, but when you go to make a jersey or a uniform, you have this outline shape, which, by the way, that's what I do first. There's a canvas basically of white baseball cards. And then you just have to focus in and trust your eyes on the different gradation of dark. And as I was taught by professor in college, his name was Lawrence Philp, who I loved at Harvard College. He always told me, start dark and get lighter. And that's what I've tried to do with these. And the hope is that from across the room, when you look at them, they feel like a photograph because the light and the dark of those grays in the uniforms or the black to the very light in the helmet gives that image of realism. And then as obviously as you get up closer, you realize there's an insane person who's cut up 100,000 baseball cards in order to make artwork out of it.
So the green and the grass, those are all
baseball cards.
just a little.
That was the month that I refer to as the harvest. I went through, I have probably, I want to say about 70,000 baseball cards at home. And so then you just go through, and you know that there are certain sets that had certain photographers that liked to take pictures that were more distance with the player, and you just pray and hope that the player is a tiny player, like in the corner with a big field of green. But that was, I don't even want to know how many hours of just finding green. And then once you cut out all that green, I have them in bags of light green, medium green, and dark green, and then you just lay them all out on, I'm embarrassed to say, my studio table, which is an old Thomas the Tank Engine table that my daughters played on. And you just lay them all out from light to dark, and then you try to get the shading and the shadow in order to work out. And sometimes you're happy with something, sometimes you aren't, but that's the beauty of it again is, if a piece then, when it's done, stands out to you and you go, oh, that card's wrong, you just find something to glue over the top of it and make it right. But that's how all that grass went down. Yeah,
It's almost an abstract by itself.
no, thank you. Yeah, that was a little nuts.
I didn't catch the beginning. Did you play baseball?
Yeah, I still play baseball.
Okay.
Yep. I'm a catcher for a men's amateur league. It's amazing. My knees haven't gone quite yet, but yeah, as you can, as everyone here knows, if you're going to spend a lot of time on something, you got to just straight up love it. You got to love it, and I like to think that's kind of what comes through. No one's crazy enough to spend 200 hours cutting up baseball cards to show Jackie Bradley Jr. in the air after a 2018 Red Sox win, unless you love the Red Sox that much to pour that much time into it. But it's surprisingly therapeutic, knowing that you can't make a mistake, and then just concentrating on trying to make something as good as possible, knowing it can't be perfect. And that's the liberating thing from all of it. You try to make it as close to perfect as you can, but there's no way it's going to be perfect, so it's easier to let go and walk away. I actually did a drawing a number of years ago. I'm a bit of a Star Wars fan as well, too. I don't know if you've seen the Star Wars movie with Qui-Gon Jinn. Liam Neeson has all this long hair. I did a drawing once where I drew every single hair. Literally line. I don't even want to know what it is. I had to get away from that. And this has allowed me to really
So
allow me to do
you're
that.
now sorting 70,000 baseball cards.
Well, I have them sorted. I actually pulled a muscle in my left shoulder sorting baseball cards. I was worried about my right shoulder because I throw playing baseball, so I used my left shoulder, and I got up one day and my left shoulder had the same problems as my right shoulder. But they're all sorted into teams, but then there are also certain cards that, like the card backs of a certain set of cards, a year of tops are red. So those are kept together, and so there are some ways you can organize them so it's helpful. Like for example with the Jackie Robinson, before I even made this, I knew that I wanted to have all the black ball players in behind, and I knew there was a studio set that was all black and white, and you'd get the color on the black and white. I knew that one the way it was going to look beforehand. But many of the others, I do the piece and I decide what do I want the background to look like. And it's neat because each one is its own puzzle. I have a methodology of the way I go about them, but then the beauty of the limitations of what you've got for baseball cards, you don't have an infinite number, and I'm not going to go out and buy 5,000 green cards in order to get all the green that I need. So you're forced to kind of shoehorn into a finished product based on whatever it is that you started with.
I have a technical question.
Yeah.
What sort of adhesive do you use for all of these things?
Clear school glue.
Okay.
That's it. And the nice thing, there's a upside and a downside to that. If you've ever seen clear school glue, when you stick it, it doesn't just stick. It's going to slide and move a little bit.
Yeah.
So it forces me to balance patience with impatience.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I can tend to glue things like around each other and stuff like that, but I can't be so crazy with it that something's going to slide. But if I don't like the way something looks, I can just pull it off. So typically what winds up happening is like the Mickey Mantle, let's say here, I made that whole I have a big cutout of the whole thing. And then I'll do each individual piece and then glue it together. And then the scariest part is when it's all done, you put a whole mess of glue on the back and you put it down and I grab all of my books and just sit them on top of it on the Thomas the Tank Engine table. And then it just squishes them all down. And then you hope that it didn't shift. So you frantically every now and then check to make sure it's still in the right place and then put things back in. And then when it's all said and done, that's what it does.
So you've created a bookbinder's press.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It all squishes down nice.
And you said you're gonna do big baseball cards next.
Yeah, I have started making a baseball card out of baseball cards. So there are a number of cards that I've already selected that are like kind of iconic modern cards. There's a Frank Thomas one and a Mike Trout one and a Shohei Ohtani one. And so the challenge with that is when you go to make a baseball card, there isn't just the image that you're dealing with, but now you're dealing with the font and the lettering and the logos and all the things that are involved in trying to make that perfection. That's going to be a little more challenging because with these you get a little bit off. No one's going to know, but that you get a little bit off, and someone who really knows their baseball cards, if they're interested in owning that, they go, hey, that's good, man, quick. So there's a different layer of stress that may come to that. But if I start feeling the stress, I won't keep doing it because I enjoy this too much to turn it into something that is stressful. But I think I'm going to enjoy it because I like that little technical cutting. I like the precision involved in making a logo or even just the numbers on the back of the jersey or the shape or whatever it is, or the shading of the skin tone. So I view it as a challenge of I'm really trying to reproduce as perfectly as possible with an imperfect medium, something that people already know what it looks like. And so we'll see if that works out, if that flies.
And you gotta like that player that you chose.
Oh, I'm a baseball nut. I don't dislike any of them, except for Manny Machado, who injured Dustin Pedroia. No one here should like Manny Machado. Manny Machado bad. But everybody else, just about everybody else I love. So, yes, if you learn one thing from me, you walk out here, Manny Machado bad.
How long have you been showing your work? We just came across you just a few years ago.
That was it, yeah, really
Story.
a year and a half ago.
Wow.
I did it for about a year before I felt really comfortable about being able to show it. I've been doing this type of stuff for just over 2 years now. March was the first one I finished, and that was really rough. So I've really only been doing things that are really nice quality, I would say, for about 2 years. But I think after, basically 48 years of doing art, I think I finally found the thing that is special and different and unique and not painful. So, yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
And by the way, you can all do this. Anyone can do this. You just got to be a little nuts. No, yes, you can. You just got to be nuts. If you're a little crazy and obsessive, you can get this done.
You have to do the videos and put them on YouTube.
You're right,
I will
yes.
follow you.
Oh, you can follow me on Facebook. You'll see the insanity. It exists. So,
All right, thanks, Keith.
thank you.